The genesis of the entire protest was Colin Kaepernick in 2016. I want to play again just a really short clip of why Colin Kaepernick took a knee. This is his first statement on it. He stood outside of his locker room surrounded by the media, and they asked him, why was he taking a knee? And here he is in his own words from 2016. So it's not interpreted by anybody. It's very clear what Colin Kaepernick was about. Clip number 2, please.
I mean, ultimately, it's to bring awareness and make people, realize what's really going on in this country. There are a lot of things that are going on that are unjust. People aren't being held accountable for. And that's something that needs to change. That's something that, this country stands for freedom, liberty, justice for all. And it's not happening for all right now.
Will you continue, Colin, to sit? Will you continue to sit?
Yes, I'll continue to sit. I'm going to continue to stand with the people that are being oppressed. To me, this is something that has to change. And when there's significant change, and I feel like that flag represents what it's supposed to represent, and this country is representing people the way that it's supposed to, I'll stand.
Point blank. That's what it's about. Colin Kaepernick just telling us what it's about right there. And so black men silently taking a knee was too much for Donald Trump. And today he took a victory lap. He went on Fox and Friends, just one friend, Brian Kilmeade. For some reason, his other white friends were not available, apparently. And it was just Brian Kilmeade and Donald Trump one-on-one. And there is Trump taking a victory lap because he won this big fight. And remind people, Mike Pence yesterday tweeted, #winning, tagging a news story. Because to Trump and to Mike Pence and the Republicans, they won a victory. They have forced black men to do what they want. That, at its essence, folks, we can debate it all day. And there was a caller yesterday, Doug, who called and emailed me and asked me, why is this white supremacy? Because the players, 80% are black, or actually around 70% are black. So they can't be racist because they're hiring so many black people. And my point to Doug, and we weren't fighting, but my email, the white supremacy isn't that the owners themselves are racist. I'm not saying they are racist. I'm saying they're giving into Donald Trump's demand for white supremacy, where a group of owners, all of them are rich white guys, except for one who's brown, rich guy, are demanding that these black athletes not express themselves in accordance with the way they want to do. They don't get to choose their form of expression, which is a silent form of expression. It's not disturbing the game. They're not running out in the middle of the game. They're not, after scoring a touchdown, talking about the political issue. They're simply taking a knee. That's it. Silently, quietly, on their sideline, not in the middle of the field. But for Donald Trump, black men doing that was too troubling. And for many on the right, and I'll make that point in a second, that is very, very upsetting to them. And that's where the white supremacy comes in. I am not saying the owners are racist. They're giving in because they think it's going to help their ratings. They're about business. That was their choice. But here's Donald Trump today, his little victory lap, and his statement, which is jaw-dropping, about what he thinks that players who take a knee and what should happen to them. And again, this is the President of the United States of America saying this. Here's clip number 4, Nina.
I don't think people should be staying in locker rooms, but still, I think it's good. You have to stand proudly for the national anthem. Well, you shouldn't be playing. You shouldn't be there. Maybe you shouldn't be in the country. You have to stand proudly for the national anthem. And the NFL owners did the right thing if that's what they've done.
You should stand proudly, or maybe you should not be in the country. Now, people say, well, you can say whatever you want. He has freedom of expression. Yes, he does. But he is the president. And he used the apparatus of government to browbeat the NFL. He tweeted about it. He tweeted about antitrust and tax issues. And let's make it clear. And Matt's on the phone. We don't have that other. If we have that other clip too, I'll set up in a second. I want to make it very clear about this. And I want people to think beyond the NFL, because if this was simply the idea that if NFL players take a knee during the national anthem, that is upsetting to Donald Trump and Trump world. And that's the only time he's going to be upset and his supporters will be upset. That's one thing. But that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about, and I think Rudy Giuliani and Laura Ingraham made it very clear, they don't want black people speaking up. And listen to the words. This is Rudy Giuliani, Donald Trump's big surrogate, in the heart of the campaign, July 2016, pre-national anthem controversy, making a statement about his view of Black Lives Matter. And listen very closely to the words that Rudy Giuliani has chosen here. Let's clip number 5. Clip 5.
And when you say Black Lives Matter, That's inherently racist.
Well, I think their
Black
argument
lives matter, white lives matter, Asian lives matter, Hispanic lives matter. That's anti-American and it's racist.
It is anti-American to say Black Lives Matter. That's Rudy Giuliani. That's a man who's working very closely with Donald Trump. That's during the campaign. That was his official surrogate. Donald Trump never took back off that statement. And do we have the Laura Ingraham clip or no? And we do, and I'll tell you when to get it. And here's Laura Ingraham just a few months ago talking to LeBron James. LeBron James was not on his knee at a national anthem. He was speaking in a video about politics. And let's hear what Laura Ingraham on Fox News, which is essentially Donald Trump television, telling a black man what he should be doing. Let's hear that clip.
Must they run their mouths like that? So keep the political commentary to yourself, or as someone once said, shut up and dribble.
Okay, there you go, folks. This has nothing to do with the national anthem. This has everything to do with controlling black people. That's what this is about. This is Laura Ingraham, Rudy Giuliani, and Donald Trump, white people in power, telling black people when and how they can express themselves. In fact, no expression whatsoever. You heard Laura Ingraham, shut up and dribble. Rudy Giuliani saying Black Lives Matter is anti-American. Donald Trump saying if you take a knee silently, that is un-American and you should leave the country. You shouldn't be in our country. Let's make it clear. Let's not play games. This is part and parcel of white supremacy on parade. That's what this is. And I hope people get it. And I know progressives are getting it. And even the Trump supporters are going to hear this and say, no, it's not true at all. And here's the irony of all ironies. Today, Donald Trump pardoned Jack Johnson, famous African-American boxer. He pardoned him. So Trump pardoned dead boxer Jack Johnson. Well, it looks like we finally found out the type of black people Donald Trump likes. Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson, if you don't know much about him, let me put it this way. The NFL players taking a knee are taking a knee today for Jack Johnson. If Jack Johnson was alive, he would, I have no doubt, be taking a knee before the national anthem, before a boxing match here. Let's talk a little bit about Jack Johnson so you know the story about him and you understand this is stunning. The irony is laughable. On the same day Donald Trump is saying black athletes who silently take a knee should leave the country, he pardons Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson, who died in 1946, one of the best athletes, boxers ever in the history of boxing. They put him up there with Muhammad Ali as one of the top ever. So what was he pardoned for? Well, he was arrested twice for violating a law that made it illegal to take a white woman across state lines for immoral purposes. You get it. Jack Johnson was arrested and prosecuted for being seen dating and having a relationship with white women. In 1913, an all-white jury in Chicago convicted him in less than 2 hours of violating a Jim Crow-era law against white slave traffic, which was intended on its face to prevent prostitution and people carrying women over state lines for sexual purposes because they were prostitutes. In reality, the way it was applied was against black men who dared to have the audacity to date white women or to marry white women, in the case of Jack Johnson. The criminal justice system is not colorblind. It is color-focused on black people. And Jack Johnson, and I was doing a little research, historians describe Jack Johnson as a highly successful black man, which is another reason white America at the time hated him. He was flamboyant. He was a guy who basically lived I'm reading from a historian saying he touted the turn of the century America's restrictive social and racial norms. A guy who basically lived his life with a metaphorical middle finger raised in the air. He owned a nightclub. He acted on stage. He was a successful boxer. He was rich. He had a gold tooth. He reportedly walked his pet leopard while sipping champagne. But above it all, Johnson was hated, according to this historian, for dating white women. The result was he got death threats. Whites in the South actively called for him to be lynched, and finally they got him, arresting him. Jack Johnson was arrested and prosecuted because of racial injustice, the very same thing that Colin Kaepernick is standing up for today. Over 100 years ago, Jack Johnson was dealing with that very issue. So for Donald Trump to pardon Jack Johnson on the same day that he's saying black men who take a silent knee in protest of the very same racial injustice that led Jack Johnson to be in prison for a year. I say, you gotta be effing kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. This is where we live. This is the lies of this man. And again, his pardoning of Jack Johnson is not for the African-American community. We know that. This is so his white supporters say, oh, Trump's not a racist. He pardoned the black boxer. You know, the same thing that they have the one guy they put behind every rally, blacks for Trump. It should say black for Trump. Well, maybe Kanye, so it's plural, blacks for Trump. That guy and Kanye. That's where we are in America today.